So there's a lot to say about my experience in France because I was there on and off for about 26 years. And there's an awful lot to say, both good and both interesting and both intriguing and some not so good as well. But that's true of every country. And I just want to say that all of the countries that I've lived in have been amazing, been fantastic. And there's various nuances and things that are good and some things that aren't quite so good in all of the countries. Nowhere is perfect. There's no place on earth that is absolutely paradise and is perfect in every respect. There's just good and bad with whatever is going on. But also, I think all of the countries that I've lived in have been great at that time in my life and perhaps wouldn't be so great at this time in my life or at another time in my life. It just depends where you're at on your path, on your journey of life, and it depends on your needs, wants and desires as well at that particular moment in time. So carrying on from my video about Tokyo and my encounter with the entrepreneurial spirit brought to my attention by a large group of American confident women. France, I didn't encounter the market at all. In fact, I don't think they even like the market. I think that my experience in France was everybody has their kind of level at which they are living and enjoying their life. And just as an aside, the French really do know how to enjoy their lives. Not so much the English, but the French really know about life and food, which is another topic. But in terms of the market, I did not come into contact with the market. There was nobody creating that environment where we were buying and selling and creating and expanding and doing good in the world and coming up with solutions. I did not encounter that in France. In fact, I encountered the opposite of that. When I started to do well in my bed and breakfast in France, I was quickly told not to tell anybody how well I was doing, even though it was obvious to those around me, it was obvious to the laundryman, it was obvious to the taxi driver, it was obvious to the baker, it was obvious to the butcher. It was obvious that I was doing better than everybody else, but I was told to keep it down, keep it quiet and keep it hidden. Because they don't create a market in France where you can do that kind of thing, where you can become something more, or you can become, you can rise above your level, if you like. Everybody's on a more or less the same level. And the difference between the haves and the have-nots in France, in French society, is not very much. There's not such a great big gap as there is in the UK. And in the social strata, if you like, in the UK, you do have the opportunity to move up. And I believe this is true in the USA as well. You have the ability to move up the social strata. In France, the systems and processes are not in place for that. You kind of live your life from the place at which you're born, and that's your lot, and the state picks up the slack for you. And that's great, it's fine. But in terms of creativity and expansion and doing all that kind of stuff that I met with in Tokyo, that was not welcomed.